Good evening, class. This will be a talk regarding the TED Talk, The Power in I Am by Theodore Roosevelt Johnson. The talk is about the difference in introducing yourself as my name is versus I am. Mr. Johnson is a military commander who was scheduled to meet the president. And when he was attempting to prepare himself on how to introduce himself to the president, he would go through several different ways and he came across as insincere, didn't use his right name, Teddy versus Ted or Theodore. And he started talking about how it's a very passive way when you introduce yourself as my name is versus who you are, and that your name actually defines who you are. So let's go through his ethos and how he's a credible speaker. Well, first of all, we have his character. His character comes across as very honest and trustworthy because in his 12-minute talk, he mentions several different facts. He mentions um, a, uh, a study. He mentions several facts that can be fact checked. The Roman history on naming, which is names are destiny, and would shape who that person becomes. And any time that he's using this information, he's using actual sources. It's able to be fact checked, and in this way, he comes across as very sincere and honest. The second is we have his competence. So, like I mentioned, as he's talking, he comes across as very well prepared, and he knows his subject matter very very well. He's able to mention several studies. One is he talks about the origin of his name, his family history. He's named after his great grandfather, who was also named Theodore Roosevelt Johnson, after a black man had dinner with the president at the time. This was in 1901, which was obviously not within the social norms at the time. And here he is 100 years, over 100 years later, and he's also meeting the president, tying it into this, that names can be a destiny. He uh, he mentioned several other facts. He mentions a study in North Carolina where they checked the longevity of certain people, particularly black men, and found that those who were named after famous people, such as George Washington, with all else being equal, actually lived 3 years longer than their peers. And as he's talking, he's always able to tie things back, and he definitely appears to know his subject matter very, very well. Finally, or thirdly, we have how he's a caring speaker. In this talk, there's not much you can really talk about how he cares about his audience directly. Obviously, we all have a name, and in that sense, it ties into us all, and it is relevant. The only racially potentially sensitive item he brings up is a comment made by a Mississippi senator at the time back in 1901, and he quotes this person directly and uses a racially derogatory word regarding the black race. Keep in mind he is a black speaker, but he does it in a very professional way, and it ties into his speech in the correct way. And he does this in, I would then say, a caring way. He is sensitive to the severity of using such words. Finally, you have his charisma. So he is a military officer. He has excellent bearing. He has command bearing. He commands the room, and he's very energetic. He's telling jokes. He keeps the flow. He's walking back and forth as he's presenting himself. He's making a joke of how being British versus American, and like I said, he's making jokes. So right at the end, he actually talks about how destiny can your name can be your destiny, and how his name is Theodore. Short form would be Ted, and here he is talking at a TED talk. So overall, he's a very well prepared speaker, and it was an interesting talk to listen to. Thank you.